I'm Larry Krueger. He is Ryan Smith. Welcome to the Tales from the Bay podcast as we talk about the National Football League and the San Francisco 49ers. And Ryan, why don't we start off talking a little bit about the NFC? This has been a very interesting year for the conference. The Eagles are the lone undefeated team. And then you've got some surprise teams, the New York Giants, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Atlanta Falcons, I would say, are all surprise teams. I asked Peter King this week about, who's a legitimate, who has any chance of reaching the Super Bowl of some of these teams that are somewhat surprising in the NFC. And when I asked him about New York Giants, he said, no, they didn't have a shot. When I asked him about Atlanta, he said, no, they didn't have a shot. When I asked him about Minnesota, he said, no, they don't have a shot. But he did say, when I asked him about Seattle, he said, yes, the Seahawks with Geno Smith have a chance to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. What do you think?
I'm noticing more and more smart people like that. I feel like that's like the big take this week is, you know what? Seattle's not just a fun story. I actually think they can truly compete for the Super Bowl. I would not go that far. I think that there's a world, definitely maybe like a 35% chance that they end up winning the West. Just maybe the Niners lose some stupid games, but there's no way they're better than the Niners. And I don't know. I'm still just like a little bit of a pedigree snob. And I guess Geno Smith has a good pedigree, but I don't know. I just keep waiting for him to turn back into a pumpkin. And he just looks like he's good. And it's just, I'm just nervous to like bet on them. Like they are underdogs versus Tampa Bay on a neutral site. Like what the heck? How are they not favored? Tampa's looked horrible. Seattle's looked unbelievable. Yet they're underdogs on a neutral site. It just seems weird.
To me, Seattle is, I wouldn't say they're a Super Bowl contender, but, I think you got to tip your cap to the general manager there in Seattle, John Schneider, who had an incredible offseason. You can make a very strong argument that Kenneth Walker, the running back out of Michigan State and Wake Forest, that he is going to be the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. He's that good. Abraham Lucas is their starter at right tackle. Charles Cross is their starter at left tackle. Tariq Woolen may not win the defensive rookie of the year award, but he's going to be in the running for it. And he's been fantastic on the corner, as has Kobe Bryant, the Thorpe Award winner. They added Boye Mafe. Noah Fant came over in the Russell Wilson trade. Shelby Harris has been a rock in the middle. They signed Yeshena Nwosu in free agency away from the Chargers, and even found a late-round receiver in Derek Young, who's made a valuable contribution on special teams. Add all that together, then add in the fact that John Schneider also has 5 picks in the first 3 rounds in next April's NFL draft, including 2 in the first round, one that's probably going to be in the top 10. They own the Denver Broncos first-round pick. So to me, in a rebuild year with Geno Smith, when they went cheap at quarterback, their quarterback is less expensive than every other quarterback in their division. And yet John Schneider and Pete Carroll are riding this incredible offseason of acquisitions. They're going to ride it right to a playoff berth and a top 10 pick in the draft. It's been a whale of a year so far in Seattle.
Seriously, how about just the fact, like before this season, I think we would have all agreed that, Jimmy, well, maybe Jimmy's a little bit more of a stretch, but at least Stafford and Kyler were going to be the best 2 quarterbacks in the NFC West. And it's bizarre because Jimmy G's still probably second, but Geno Smith is far and away the best quarterback in the division this year. Consistently, no question. It's halfway through the season. At some point, you gotta start tipping your cap. But still, I don't know. I've been burned by these good stories before.
Well, and then the other story in the NFC, I think, has to be the incredible struggle of what many people believed were the true hierarchy in the conference. Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, and the defending Super Bowl champion Rams with Matthew Stafford. None of those teams look really any good at all. I'll say it right now. I said it at the beginning of the year. I'll say it again. I don't think the Rams are going to make the playoffs. Tom Brady suddenly is, their offense is not very good. They've had a lot of injuries on their offensive line. The receivers are out, all now hurt. And, what can you say about Green Bay? Green Bay kissed off Devontae Adams, gave that money to Aaron Rodgers, invested in Romeo Dobbs, the rookie out of Nevada, in the draft, and Christian Watson. But as we've seen time and time again, rookie receivers really struggle to make that transition from the college game to the much more complex pro game. And so, Rodgers is naked out there with no receivers, and he's had a hard time adjusting. Green Bay is, 3-6, and they're likely on the outside looking in at a playoff berth. So of those teams, Rams, Bucks, and Pack, all struggling, which one surprises you the most?
Oh, God. I don't have a great answer for this one. I got to say, just they're all pretty equally shocking. I mean, I guess the Packers probably. I feel like there was definitely, I mean, you called the Rams not making the playoffs. I thought there was a chance of a massive hangover there. And then with the Stafford arm, and then Brady, I mean, I think we all kind of knew this was going to be an exceptionally high variance Brady season with all he had going on off the field and the retiring and the unretiring and the media and the wife. It just seemed like, I don't know. And then the Dolphins thing. So it just doesn't seem like he's fully in it. But the Packers, I feel like everyone was talking up, like, a lot of really smart people like Jordan Elliott, like Mike Lombardi, these people talking about this Green Bay defense and how good it was going to be and how, they were still going to be able to run the ball and move the ball with this crazy two-headed monster tandem and no Adams, no problem. And instead it's just been, it's been just disgusting and a little sad.
The Eagles are the team to beat. They're the lone undefeated team in football. Because Buffalo and Kansas City both reside in the AFC, the Eagles are the current favorite to win the Super Bowl. How likely do you think it is that the Eagles go to the Super Bowl? Or do you think one of the other contenders in the NFC potentially can knock them off come playoff time?
Well, the odds are there's I don't know if it's changed this week, but I knew as of last week, there was a prop out there in Vegas for either the Bills or the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, and it was minus 105. So it was they were saying, and obviously a lot of that's the public betting on it, but like they were saying, it's pretty much 50-50 whether or not the rest of the league, including the Chiefs, win the Super Bowl or those two. Now with the Josh Allen, shoulder or elbow injury, you're kind of seeing, all right, now we're like, okay, you know what? We're remembering usually these teams that start super hot that everyone's on, usually they don't continue, scorching hot for the whole season. So I'm expecting the Eagles to come down to earth at some point, but I mean, they're playing Gonzaga's schedule. So they just have such an easy schedule. The kind of hope I think the Niners have to have is that it's sort of like the Green Bay Packers, even though this Eagles team is a tough team, they not getting tested really during the year can come back to bite you. It did, I think, for these Packers teams the past couple of years when they went like 13-3. They lost all of 10 games the last 3 years combined, and Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. And then all of a sudden, this season is kind of like emblematic of the team, honestly, for them to go down this way. Like they get punched in the mouth, and it seems like they just can't, climb out of it. Like it happens in the playoff games in the micro, and then in the macro of this season, it just seems like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if LaFleur was out after this year. Like things are going that fast.
One more question on the NFC. Are the Eagles going to run the table and go undefeated? And Jalen Hurts has won 11 straight starts. Okay. And you look at the Eagles are the 29th team in the Super Bowl era to begin 8-0. Of the 29 teams, how many of them would you guess went on to win the Super Bowl? Out of the 29 teams that started 8-0 since Super Bowl I, how many of them do you think have gone on to win the Super Bowl? Not be in it, win it.
9.
Close. 8. It's
8.
8. So, that's interesting. Now, the Eagles do have a weakness. Dameon Pierce of the Texans in that last game on Thursday night ran for 139 yards. And this is a game that between the Eagles and the Texans that was tied at the half. But Philadelphia, the question is, will they run the table? They get the Packers in week 12. They get the Titans in week 13. Week 16 on Christmas Eve, they will play the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's world. And then week 17, they get a Saints team that's got a pretty good defense. Those are the toughest games remaining on their schedule. If you're a betting man, do the Eagles run the table? They're I believe you can get 11-1 on them right now if you want to bet it.
No, and I don't think that they even want to be. It's I think that's a lot of pressure to be an undefeated team heading into the playoffs. And honestly, if I was their coach, I would hope they'd lose one just so that, kind of humbles the guys and just makes them realize, you can drop one to anyone. That's something this Niners team knows all too well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's transition to our second segment here on the podcast, and that is the keys to victory. The 49ers take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, I almost said San Diego, but I didn't. The Los Angeles Chargers roll into Levi Stadium, Sunday Night Football, national TV. Before I give you my 3 keys to victory, give me what you think of the matchup.
This game scares me. This Chargers team, they seem like the kind of team, almost like they remind me of Arizona, where I feel like Arizona always kind of gives fits to. Arizona's a team that blows a lot of games, but then they seem to always give fits to the 49ers. And I kind of feel like that's going to happen again in this Chargers game. I think that the Niners are going to look really good. But I think that the Chargers are just going to keep it close. And I think this one, the Niners ultimately pull out. But I think it kind of just depends on, it's going to depend on if they make a few fourth downs and, some big time like goal, going for 2. If they get it, they're going to do all that kind of stuff. So it's just, it's always a little scary. It feels a little bit like a coin flip.
Chargers did something, if you say like opponents, well, one common opponent the 49ers and the Chargers had was the Atlanta Falcons. And the 49ers lost to the Falcons in Atlanta. Last week, we saw the Chargers actually beat the Falcons in Atlanta. The Los Angeles Chargers are a very talented football team. What do you think of Justin Herbert? Because I think Herbert, to me, he's not Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. At least in the NFL, he hasn't won on that level, but man, he throws a beautiful ball, and he's got a huge arm, and there's no question that he looks like he's got the makings of a superstar NFL franchise quarterback. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think he's kind of a weird one because he's like simultaneously overrated and underrated. I mean, he's overrated in that he's kind of everybody's like hipster favorite quarterback. Like, oh, I'm a little too hipster to pick Mahomes or Allen. So I'm actually going to say that I think Herbert's the best quarterback in the league. And it's like, you watch the tape, it's not a bad take because it just looks like the talent, like, okay, get ahead of the take now. And then you could say you were in on him early. He seems like he should be an MVP. Like, it reminds me of Luka Doncic. Like, I think the last 2 years, Herbert's came in as the MVP favorite. And the teams just kind of, they keep charging. And I don't know whether to blame Staley. I kind of am inclined to blame Staley just because, I mean, he's a defensive coach and the Rams defense got better when Raheem Morris took over. And then, they've had Pro Bowlers everywhere and their defense has no toughness. So yeah, I think I'd blame more the coach, but I mean, Herbert does look pretty awesome. Although I'd like him to see him pull out a few more W's.
I think this might be one of the NFL's best rosters. I really do. When you talk about, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and, Derwin James and Nazir Adderley and Asante Samuel we're just talking about on the defensive side, Kenneth Murray. They got some really nice players. And then on offense, Big Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Obviously, Austin Eckler, some really good offensive linemen. The kid from Northwestern, I think, is fantastic. This is a really talented football team. But Mike Williams has been dinged up. Keenan Allen had a hamstring pull, but he's getting healthier. He probably either goes in this game, or if he doesn't go in this game, he's probably healthy the week after. And that's their big hope, is that Keenan's going to finish with a monster finish. Keenan Allen might be one of the best wide receivers in football that nobody talks about. He's incredibly productive. He's got size. He's got speed. He's got hands. Anytime he's on the field and healthy, he's a true number one receiver. But to me, if I would say what's the key to victory for the 49ers in this game, since you don't know about the two receivers, one, you don't know about Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but they do have Josh Palmer, who played at Tennessee, who's got good size, good speed, terrific hands. If Josh Palmer can make plays, or if Keenan's healthy for this game, I mean, the Chargers have some real weapons in the pass game that they can burn you with.
Everett kills
Gerald
teams.
Everett, the tight end.
It seems like he always makes just some horrible, costly. Like all of a sudden, it pans over to red zone, and Scott Hanson's like, "Oh, look at Everett! Oh, take a look at this!" And he'll like have some horrible drop or some fumble. But I do think that he's good. 9 out of 10 times.
Oh, he's a mismatch. I mean, he's a big guy who can really run. To me, the first key for the 49ers in this game is you have to cover the safety valve out of the backfield. They're going to throw it to Austin Eckler, and they're going to throw it to him a lot. And you saw the play that he made this week where he kept his feet. The Falcon defenders both thought he was down, and he's got such unbelievable torque and strength in his lower body that he pivoted, and he wasn't down, and they took it to the house. Now, eventually they saw, upon review, that his elbow had just barely touched the carpet, and so they called it back. Otherwise, that was an Austin Eckler touchdown. So to me, the 49ers have to show that they can do two things here with Austin Eckler, that they can cover him out of the backfield, which is no picnic. And then can you wrap him up? He's got a tremendously explosive lower body. He's not Alvin Kamara. He's not Barry Sanders, but he's in that same category where he's got unbelievable balance and leg strength and torque, and you're just not going to be able to bring him to the ground really easily. So to me, key number one is cover Austin Eckler out of the backfield. And when he gets the ball in the flat, you better wrap him up. You put a hat on a hat, as they say, and bring your friends, because if Eckler gets loose in the pass game, he can take a 5-yard pass and take it to the house. And we saw that a couple of weeks ago with Jet McKinnon, who made probably the biggest crushing play in that loss to the Chiefs when he took a screen pass and got it, on a 3rd and long, and got it down to the 3-yard line. They scored a couple plays later, and the momentum never shifted back to the 49ers in that game. So defending Austin Eckler and wrapping on Eckler, key number one.
What would you put the over-under on, building off that? What would you put the over-under for running back receptions in that game?
For Austin?
Or no, just for the game. So between Eckler, McCaffrey, Debo.
Oh, my God. 12?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 12 and a half, something like that. It's going to be a high number. It's going to be absolutely a high number. The other thing I think for the 49ers is they have to commit to the run game in this game. The 49ers have a lot of weapons. They can do a lot of different things offensively. To me, in this game against the Chargers, it screams commit to the run. The Chargers have given up 175 yards per game over the last month. It's one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. In fact, if you look at the Chargers, they're 20. They don't run it well. They don't stop the run. They're 28th in rushing offense. They're 29th in rushing defense. They're giving up 145.5 yards per game on the ground on the season. Now, as I just stated, in the last month, that 145 is closer to 175. So the 49ers absolutely have to commit to the run. Elijah Mitchell, we caught up with him this week in Santa Clara. He's ready to roll. He's ready to roll. He's been hurt all year. He's been on the IR. He's come off, and he's going to be activated in this game. And I would imagine a full dose of Elijah Mitchell is in store for the Chargers. But it's not just Mitchell. I think I would run Ayuk. I would run Debo. I'd run McCaffrey. I'd mix it up. I might have a very diversified rushing attack, but I am attacking the Chargers in the run game and trying to keep the ball out of the air because, the reality is that Asante Samuel can pick off passes. Derwin James can as well. This game will change if the Niners are -2 or -3 in turnovers. The best way to really kind of set the tone in this game is to dominate the run game against the Chargers and just keep featuring the run and don't bail them out. I mean, on defense, they're an incredible team. If the game on D is rush the quarterback and cover behind it. Well, they've got Bosa who won't play in this game, but they also have Khalil Mack. And so those guys can destroy your day and knock out your quarterback. So to me, it's got to be a 60-40 run pass split game, commit to the run, stay with it for 4 quarters, and make the Chargers stay home and play run D.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent plan. I also would like to see Jimmy throw a bunch of short passes, all that kind of stuff. That pretty much is the run game, though, being physical. I'm sure most teams that can't stop the run well probably don't do great against screen passes either.
Yeah. And also the third key is recognize how special Khalil Mack is. We talked to a number of players this week in Santa Clara about the Chargers and their defense and how they look on film. And man, to a man, they'll say, hey, watch out for 52, watch out for 52. And 52 is Khalil Mack. And Mack is a special player. He makes a lot of money, and there's a reason he makes a lot of money. He's got quickness. He's got strength. He can beat you with quickness to the edge. If you overcompensate, he can, get you on off balance and bull rush you right into the lap of the quarterback. Khalil's a difference-making pass rusher. He's even more dangerous when Joey Bosa's on the other side. But even without Bosa, you can't allow Khalil Mack to dominate this game.
He's one of those guys that also seems like he always shows up in these primetime games. Like when he was with the Bears, I felt like a couple of those teams were pretty good, the Trubisky teams. And It just seemed like every primetime Bears game, it was like, Mac recovers 2 fumbles and has 3 sacks and Twitter dunks all over the Raiders for trading him. So I wouldn't be super stoked about having this as a Sunday night game. I will that matchup though between him and Bosa.
No question. And the one thing about the Chargers that everybody has to keep in mind is that the Chargers have invested in some of the NFL's greatest singular talents. And Derwin James can ruin your day as well. And I would say, be very aware of where Derwin James is as a delayed blitzer, in coverage. He's a guy who has a tremendous nose for the football. He's as big as a linebacker. He's as quick as a corner. They play him at safety. He's got great instincts. So he's always flowing in the right direction, does a lot of film study, and he knows what's happening pre-snap. And he's moving instinctively towards the football play after play after play. And he's proven at this point, he makes huge plays. So to me, there's
Derwin James revenge game for the Niners not taking him.
The Niners passed on Derwin James for Mike McGlinchey.
Did you see what McGlinchey said today?
McGlinchey even joked about it this week. But I mean, I'll just say this. I mean, they have the kinds of individual defensive players that can change a game.
Oh, it's a Pro Bowl.
We see it. Yeah, we see it with Nick Bosa. He's a special player who single-handedly can change a game. Well, Derwin James can do that, and so can Khalil Mack. So not allowing Derwin and Khalil Mack to take over the game would be my third and final key to victory. So that's it. Cover Austin Eckler and wrap up against Eckler. That's one. Commit to the run game for all 4 quarters and make it be a diversified attack. And don't let the Chargers defensive superstars, they have 3 of them. Only 2 of them are going to play in this game. Don't let those 2 guys ruin your Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, I should say. Don't let Derwin James and Khalil Mack ruin your appearance on national TV. You do those 3 things. You don't let Derwin and Khalil dominate the game. You commit to the run for 4 quarters, and every time Eckler gets it, you wrap up. I think, that's going to bode well for the 49ers' chances of getting another win and keeping that momentum going.
Yeah. And I got to say, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but I did get a sense today a couple times when we were doing the interviews in the locker room that the players were kind of like, we're going to try not to like play down to their competition type things, where it seems like, they respect the Chargers, but I think they think they're going to roll in there and really just, lay the hammer down, especially coming off a bye week.
All I'll say to any 49er who thinks that: Denver, Chicago, Atlanta, don't be overconfident.
Exactly.
Those are not good teams. None of those teams are probably going to the playoffs, and you lost to all three of them. So don't take this Charger team lightly. A lot of people were picking this Charger team to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. If they didn't have a third of their roster on the injured list, I think they would be right there with the contenders in the AFC.
Yeah. If the NFL was simply a guy off, like you name a team and then just your average NFL fan can name a bunch of guys, and whoever could name the most guys, whatever team wins the Super Bowl, they would easily be in the Super Bowl. The Niners actually might win it, just in terms of the number of guys that you can mention that, the average fan doesn't know who are on the Texans or whatever. But like the Niners they've got them all over the place. So do the Chargers.
Maybe the most amazing thing about this game, when we're thinking about some of the subplots, 49ers' last Super Bowl victory was against the Chargers in Miami. That Charger team had Stan Humphries and Natron Means and Junior Seau and Sean Jefferson. There was a number of good players on that team, and the 49ers beat them, I think, 49-26 with Steve Young and Jerry Rice. And the last time the 49ers actually went to and won a Super Bowl, they're 0-2 since. And I was thinking, it would be great. We'll ask some of the players about their thoughts of the Super Bowl. And then I realized it was 1994. And most of these guys, you'd have to be 32, 33 years old just to even remember 1994. And there's probably only one guy on the team, Robbie Gould, that has any recollection of that game at all. So, it's amazing how much time has actually passed since the 49ers last won a Super Bowl. So, but it'll be good to see the Chargers, because it's always a good reminder of that Niner beatdown in Miami.
Oh, it could be a glorious uniform matchup too. If both teams coordinate correctly, could be glorious.
No question. Two of my favorite uniforms in all of football are the Niners. I like the Niners 94 throwbacks that they wore in that Super Bowl with the red tops and the white pants, and I love the Chargers with the white helmets and just the Lance Allworth Bambi uniforms they used to wear in the 60s and 70s. All right, let's take a break. We got more straight ahead. It's the Tales from the Bay podcast. We're 2 segments in. We got 2 segments to go. Coming up next, a little game between Ryan and I. Who can guess the highest paid 49ers? Ooh, we're going to see who's better at this, Ryan or myself. It's all coming next on the Tales from the Bay podcast. Hope you're enjoying it. I'm Larry Krueger. He is Ryan Smith. And this segment, we're going to have Ryan guess how many of the top 5 paid 49ers can Ryan guess without looking.
Okay, well,
Ryan.
All right, my hands are in the air. Do you have a list?
I do have a list of the top paid 49ers, and I have the top 5 guys. And we'll see how many of them you can get in order.
Oh, I feel like
how many guesses it takes you to get all 5?
Okay, I'm guessing it's going to take me 7 guesses. All right.
7, okay.
Okay. Debo.
Debo is not in the top 5.
All right.
Debo makes $6.8 million. That's his cap hit this year, $6.8 million. He is not a top 5 49er.
Oh, see, I immediately duped myself there. I was thinking big contract, but now this makes things harder. Oh, no. And Jimmy has an incentive. I don't even know how McCaffrey's cap hit works. I'll throw in Armstead.
Eric Armstead. That is not, he is not one of the top 5 paid 49ers, according to Spot Track. And as far as the cap hit for this year, no.
Oh,
Eric
wow,
Armstead is not a top 5 guy.
Okay, all right. Here we go. I told
So
you to
now
take
you've got
7.
two.
So that's
Now you got to go 5 for 5.
okay. All right, I can do that. Trent Williams.
Trent Williams checks in at number 5. He makes $9.6 million as his cap figure for this year. Trent Williams, the 5th highest paid 49er.
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G's number 1.
Okay.
$13.9 million for Jimmy G as his cap hit for the year. That's number 1 on the 49ers. You have number 1 and number 5.
Okay. All right. That's good range. What about Juice? He has that big old deal.
Kyle Juszczyk is not a top 5 paid 49er.
What? I thought this was going to be too easy. McGlinchey?
Mike McGlinchey checks in at number 3. $10.8 million for Mike McGlinchey, the starting right tackle for your San Francisco 49ers. Makes his cap hit is $10.8 million. He's 3rd highest on the team. So right now you have 1, you have 3, and you have 5, and you've made 3 wrong guesses.
So I'm 50%. So a drunk baby flipping coins. Okay. What's the deal with McCaffrey's cap hit? Is that because obviously he would be, but he had it paid by the Panthers, right?
Yes, McCaffrey cap hit is not a top 5 hit on the 49ers. So now you've got 4 incorrect guesses.
Bosa?
Nick Bosa checks in at number 4. That's right. $10.8 million is his cap hit for this year. Nick Bosa.
Oh, that confused me because he's still on his rookie deal, right? But it's that hot super high pay scale.
That's right. So it's Jimmy G at 13.9, McGlinchey at 10.8, Bosa at 10.8, Trent at 9.6. So you have 1 more in the top 5 that you've yet to guess.
Mooney Ward?
No. Charvarius Mooney Ward not in the top 5.
Mitch no. Dang. I honestly, I don't want to give up.
There's other stars on this team.
Oh yeah, Fred Warner. Oh, okay, there we go.
Fred Warner is not a top 5 paid 49er. No, he's at 8.1.
What?
He is not top 5.
Jimmy Ward?
Jimmy Ward is right.
Really?
Jimmy Ward, $12.9 million. Jimmy Ward makes a lot of money. He's a hell of a football player. Top 5 are Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Ward, Mike McGlinchey, Nick Bosa, and Trent Williams. I thought you were going to guess George Kittle. Because he had a high number as well. And also the guy who's got the surprising high number, Samson Ebukam, makes $8.2 million.
Okay, he was on my short list.
He was number 6 on the list behind Trent.
I am actually kind of surprised about Kittle, but I seem to remember thinking that's like the most reasonable contract. I also don't understand Debo. How is Debo not on there? Has it not kicked in? Well,
because it's cap hit. So, I mean, it's spread out. It's just their cap hit for this year. So
what was his
cap hit
deal?
6.8 million.
5 for 60, I thought, or something like, or what is it? 3?
I don't have the details in front of me, but he signed a very good deal for himself. But his cap hit this year, 6.8 million, and that is well beneath the top 5 for the 49ers. All right, that's our little contest. Up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the predictions on the game itself. 49ers and Chargers, national TV, Sunday Night Football, NBC rolls into Levi's. And it is that time where we give you our predictions on what we're going to see in this game between the Niners and the Chargers at Levi's Stadium in front of a national televised audience. A national television game always gets people excited. The tailgating will be fierce. There'll be people starting all day. And Rye, we've been in those tailgates, and man, there's going to be some very boisterous, loud 49er people that will have a lot of food and a lot of booze in them come kickoff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, it seems like there would be we went to the Rams games. It seems like there would be Chargers fans that, are living in the Bay Area or that would drive up for this. But I don't know. It seems like they've kind of I don't want to, diss the fans. I don't want to give the fans, bulletin board material, but, I don't think there's going to be that many Chargers fans, but I do think it's going to be very festive. I mean, it's been, bye week for the fans as well. Everybody's rested and ready to, drink an absurd amount on a Sunday.
I don't even know if there are a lot of Chargers fans. I mean, you don't see them in Los Angeles. They alienated their fan base when they left San Diego. When they went to LA, they're the second team, maybe the third team in LA, maybe the fourth team in LA. If you said who are the most popular teams in Los Angeles, the Rams would probably be 1 or 2. The Raiders would probably be 1 or 2. The 49ers would probably be in the top 3. I bet you there are more 49er fans in Southern California than there are Chargers fans, at least in Los Angeles. I think the Chargers are many ways they're like a team without a home. They have a stadium, they have a team, they got a great young general manager in Tom Telesco, they got a franchise quarterback, but they don't have the love of the fans of Los Angeles. That's for sure.
Yeah, it just isn't it crazy how it seems like the Philip Rivers Chargers, like that craziness where you just expected every Sunday they would be in some like 1:00 window game and Philip Rivers would be, charging back in the fourth quarter after they had some just unthinkable mistakes that you don't even necessarily blame on them, that are like acts of God. And then they would be driving down. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. But it seems like they have the same mentality. And that's what goes into my the same juju, and that's what's going into my prediction. I think the Niners take care of this game, and I really am pretty confident about it. The Niners have trouble with teams that play very, I don't know if you'd say conservatively, but teams that don't beat themselves. And the Chargers are gonna give them, some turnovers, and they're gonna do stupid stuff. So I think that's to the Niners' advantage.
What's your final score?
I'm going to say Niners 28, Chargers 22.
Okay. So you got the 49ers winning by 6. I like the 49ers to win by 10. I think the 49ers are going to run the ball with success. I think they'll be able to block Khalil Mack, and I think they're going to be able to stop Los Angeles' running game. I don't think the Chargers are going to run it. I think the 49ers second-level speed on defense with Fred Warner and Azeez Al-Shaair, Dre Greenlaw getting healthier. I think coming off the bye week, the Niners will be flying around making plays. But I think it's going to be more like, 28-17, something like that. 28-17 49ers. The Niners will win the game at the line of scrimmage by running the ball, stopping the Chargers' run. They'll be +1 or +2, the 49ers will, on the turnover margin at the end of the day. And I think the Chargers are a really talented football team. But, if you had Mike Williams and you had a healthy Keenan Allen, and there's a really good chance Keenan goes, but I don't know about Mike Williams. Now you've got a real intriguing, situation, because they've got big receivers who can go up in a crowd and make catches, above the defender. But Mike Williams almost definitely is not going to play in this game. So I like the Niners to beat the Chargers. I'll say 28-17 49ers.
I just had to throw a funky numeral in there just because I'm assuming they're going to go for it on fourth a bunch, or go for 2 a bunch and kind of screw up definitely miss an extra point too, probably. So
yeah, what's the over under on the number of times Brandon Staley goes for it on 4th down in this game?
It'd be hilarious if he just went on an absolute heater, like a what do you call that? A roulette heater or like a blackjack heater. He just keeps going for it and just keeps getting it versus the Niners. That would be kind of classic Niners. Like, we'd be like, well, I mean, that was just kind of crazy that they did that, but also like, how did they lose to the Chargers? Like, that seems like a classic.
Do you have a favorite, before we end the podcast, do you have a favorite Charger football player in the history of the franchise? Who's your favorite Charger? There's been some entertaining ones. Dan Fouts, Charlie Joyner, Chuck Muncie, LaDainian Tomlinson, Junior Seau. Lots of great Charger players through the years.
I mean, I'm gonna be kind of lame. I mean, just because I'm younger. The only quarterback I've ever seen is Phil Rivers in a Chargers uniform. I guess I'd probably have to go with I gotta go LT just because he was like at the time of when I was growing up, and it was like I was the most impressionable to like guys like LT and AI and just like that were just so sick. And you know what? There's going to be so much LT. There's going to be at least like 3 different like LaDainian Tomlinson graphics where they're like comparing, LaDainian Tomlinson to McCaffrey in San Diego, and they're going to talk about LT being the last guy to run one and throw one and pass one, or run, throw, and catch a touchdown. That's totally going to be a talking point.
I'm going Junior Seau, the late, great Junior Seau. I can remember going to Niner training camp when they practiced against the Chargers in the early 90s. And, man, you had Jerry Rice up there. You had Junior Seau, and they were both just in their prime. And they just stood out. I mean, these guys, you could see their greatness from 150 yards away. I mean, hot day in Rockland, California. Well, I mean, and just how incredibly athletic and joyful both those players were. I mean, Jerry, the most dominant receiver in the history of pro football, and Junior Seau, one of the greatest linebackers I've ever seen. And he just had freakish speed and ability. So Junior Seau, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he wore 55 and he was spectacular. And then also I got a special place in my heart for the Chargers longtime announcer, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, who used to announce Marion Butts touchdowns. Touchdown, Marion Butts.
Marion Butts?
Marion Butts was a tremendous running back for the Chargers in the I guess maybe 80s, late 80s, maybe early 90s. But there you go. Junior Seau was my favorite Charger. He was just electric to watch. One of the great linebackers. Brent Jones, the Niners got Junior isolated against Brent Jones in the Super Bowl in 1994, and Jones caught a fade pass from Steve Young. That was an absolute perfect dime. But Junior Seau was on the losing end that day and was on the losing end of that play. But Junior Seau was a absolutely stunning football player who just loved to play. He could play inside backer, played outside backer, defensive end, and he just made play after play after play. The pride of San Diego, and sadly he left us way too soon.
We're in the Niner locker room with Elijah Mitchell, coming off the bye week. How'd you spend your bye week?
I was up here getting right, make sure my body is all good to go.
Well, how you feeling? You coming off the being injured, ready to roll? How you feeling? How's the rehab gone?
Oh yeah, it's going good. They took good care of me, and I'm ready to roll.
Normally, if you're playing every week this time of the year, you're a football player, especially at your position, running back. How does your body normally feel? If you had played the last 5 or 6 games, how would you be feeling different?
You'd definitely be a little banged up, but like I said, if you do a good job, take care of your body, you should be all right.
Talk to us a little bit about the Chargers. What do they look like on film defensively?
Like I say, everybody play their gaps and stuff, but I think in the run game we'll be able to attack them like we want to.
All right. As far as bye week, normally, like, what would guys normally do during a bye week? Do they hang out? Do they get off their feet? Like, what do they give you guys any instructions of what they want you to do during the bye week, or is it all just on your own, do what you want?
They definitely want you to get moving and work out and stuff, but some guys, everybody body's different, so some of them go home, relax, kick their feet up, some of them workouts, but everybody's different.
Hey, 2 last ones before we let you go. Niners-Chargers played in the Super Bowl. Last time 49ers won the Super Bowl, they beat the Chargers. What is the first Super Bowl you remember as a kid watching?
The last Super Bowl was it was when I was a kid. I can't remember which one, but it was the Saints versus, I forgot who it was though, but it was the Saints.
The Saints. How about a couple weeks from now, you guys are off to Mexico City. What are you looking forward to about going down there? Food or anything you want to see? What's your trip to Mexico City going to be like outside of football?
Definitely want to go try the food, but we got Alfredo over there, so he's going to show us the ropes when we get down there.
Good luck to you in the second half.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we're here in the Niner locker room with Alfredo Gutierrez. And Alfredo, thanks for joining us. And how'd you spend your bye week? What'd you do?
Pretty good. I went to Monterrey to basically my alma mater. They have like a rivalry game against the Universidad de Nuevo León. It's a pretty big game, so I went there visit, and I also went to Tijuana for a couple of days and then come back.
Nice. Did your team win?
We lost. Unfortunately, we lost for 3 points. Yeah.
There. No. How do guys normally handle the bye week? What guys do you stop working out, or you?
You never can stop.
Yeah.
Especially during the season, you need to keep running, keep working out, be active. I went there. I'll be honest with you, I didn't work out for like 2 days.
Right.
But as soon as I got back to Tijuana, I started like lifting, working out, and did some hills. And then I came back here on Sunday, came back, did some pool exercises, and be ready by Monday.
Nice. How the Chargers look on film to you?
The what?
How do the Chargers look when you watch them on film?
They look good. A decent team. They have a pretty good players. Also, I know that Joey Bosa is not playing. But the Chargers have a pretty good team. The quarterback is good. Number 32 is also good. We were watching a lot of tape of what he does. So it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, you guys as a group coming together. Some of those the young guards are playing really, really well, and you seems like now you got Trent back and Mike hopefully maybe off the bye week. How's the O-line looking for the second half?
I think pretty good, like you said. The both guards are doing a really good job, especially with the veterans, the tackles. I think it's getting all connected. The whole chemistry is getting there. So I think that for the O-line group, it's going to be a good game too.
All right, last time Niners won the Super Bowl, it was Niners beat the Chargers. What is the first Super Bowl you remember watching as a kid?
Wow. The first one I remember watching, I think it was the Panthers against the Patriots, but
Patriots?
I really don't remember a lot. There was like a party in Tijuana with my dad's friends, but I remember they were happy about because they were gonna party and also they were watching the game. And I think the Patriots won that game, right? Yeah.
Yep. Tom Brady. 2 weeks from now, you guys are going down to Mexico City. Have the guys in here been hitting you up about that? And give me something about that you're telling guys in here that when they go to Mexico City, they gotta try. What's one thing you gotta do?
I'm pretty excited for that game. Well, all the guys are asking me. I think I don't know if we're allowed, but the tacos or street food is the best. I don't really recommend a lot because we have to play, but you have to try it at least. They have like this Mexican like muffins. They're really good too. I don't know, man. Like if we are allowed to try like different styles of food, I really recommend that.
Yeah. Give me one person as far as like a player in the league that you kind of studied to try to get better. I mean, or is there a player in your own position group that you're studying?
Like
who do you like to study to
I
improve?
watch like every player. Like I watch Trent. I watch McClinchy. I watch. Last year I used to watch Villanueva and for the Ravens and 77 for the Rams. So people that have my height or the same like body type,
right?
And I also watch like Trent does or Mike. So what can I get from them into my technique or my toolbox? And I basically watch like a different type of players, and then I try to use like some abilities or some techniques, and if it works, I just stick with them.
Yeah. Last one. What's the vibe in here as you guys hit the second half of the year, man? This is a team that can make a run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretty good. Everybody's like,
what's the thought?
The energy, and everybody's the desires be in the Super Bowl. So everybody's still like with the feet on the ground, but very focused on what the goal is to make it all the way to the end.
There you go. That does it for the Tales from the Bay podcast. We both like the 49ers to beat the Chargers on national TV, right? Tell people where they can get the podcast if they're checking it out for the first time. Tell them where they can find it.
Yeah, well, if you're watching this on YouTube or, YouTube, I guess, or seeing a social clip, not sure, make sure to search out the Tales from the Bay podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast, Spotify. You got to actually search Tales from the Bay now because we're no longer on the Gridiron feed. We actually have our own feed now, and we've got this really cool artwork, although it's a little unfortunate that when you see it, you're going to be like, oh, dang, that's such good artwork. And it's a little unfortunate that that's who's on it. But to go see that for yourself, you got to search out the show and leave reviews, 5 stars, comments. We'll probably read anything, whether it's negative or positive, we'll probably read anything that we get that's 5 stars. So go do that.
There you go. That does it for us. Next week, we'll come to you. We'll talk a little bit about the Niners and the Cardinals. We'll come to you from Mexico City. Should be fun.